Alright. Hold on, let me do some shit here. Oh, whoa. Dude, I can make it foggy as a clouds. Alright, hotbox it before we actually hotbox it. Nah, let's do slate. Alright. I was having technical difficulties, so I decided to say screw it and just do it live. I'll put that bong over there. I also organized my little wall of shit. Here, like my little desk with my wall of shit. Got my black sand. Got some beverages of alcoholic variety. Got my black sand ruins and all this fun shit. I also filled it up with water that Brenovan bottled to make it look like it wasn't open, but I'm gonna have to deal with that situation. So yeah. So I'll use one of these objects over here to be my little phone stand. Making sure shit's good. Breaker, are we good? Alright. So, yeah. Alright. Now that I'm in my position, whenever we need this screen, I'll just have to adjust a little bit. In fact, I'll just adjust now. I'm just gonna have. I didn't prep for this part because I didn't expect this to happen, but this got fucking 200 counts of pillowcases or some shit. Why do I need 200 fucking pillowcases? Like, holy fuck. Like, why? It's ridiculous, dude. I don't need that many pillowcases. Well, don't need this right now since it's not wanting to be. It's not even the equipment. It's just OBS wants to be ridiculous. So it's just like I just don't want to deal for right now. I just rather do this. It's just simpler. It just be simpler. Oh, it's empty. Whatever. Put that off to the side. Put that there. Oh, it's this shit that's in the way now. Okay. And my mug. Actually, let me make sure that this seat gets lifted up. Oh, that's about as high as it's gonna go. Okay. This seat sucks. This seat really does suck. Well, I need to get a new one anyway. So, yeah. Well, it's been about 3 minutes. I said some shit. So, yeah. Oh, no. I'm just doing the final things just to make sure everything's all good. Oh, boy. All right. All right. Well, so what I'm gonna do for these, since I have a general understanding on a good portion of these videos, I'm going to just kind of click a random little points and just discuss some certain little parts of the of these little panels. And we also have a few little clippets also that I'm gonna be checking out here as well. Because it's always fun to have little clips to check out that are just hilarious. So, and also I'm having not only technical issues with OBS, but I can't change where my sound is going to be coming from, so I can't get it to my PC for some reason, or from my this. Like, so this is just ridiculous. I'm just having a bunch of fun. In the meantime, I'll be listening to Kyle recapping his trip.
What's up, bitches?
What's up, bitches?
Ford and I are currently driving, about to do Joe Rogan's podcast.
Hey.
But we wanted to talk a little bit about Politicon. First of all, thanks to everybody who came out. and supported. A lot of you turned out. That place was packed full of Secular Talk listeners. I saw some comments on YouTube that said I was the most popular person at Politicon. I don't know if those people were joking.
Nah,
Even if
I don't
they
think
were
so.
joking, they probably weren't that far off.
You think I find a
There was
Politicon
lot
that
of
has
love out there, and I
Kyle
really
involved in
appreciate
some
that.
way?
I love meeting you guys. You were really nice and really cool, and I felt the love. And yeah, I was really touched by that. So thanks to all of you who came out. Now, as far as Politicon goes, it was fun. There were ups, there were downs. We were all over the place. So the first panel about should we be socialists, I thought that was an awesome panel. The second panel I was on, what now liberals, that was probably my least favorite panel because, I don't know, it just didn't go as smoothly as I thought.
Really?
I kind of felt bad for Zerlina Maxwell because she was booed a little bit. Now, I certainly didn't agree with everything she said. And,
come on now.
You know, I understand why she lost the crowd very early. But, yeah, that was just my least favorite panel
Technical
overall,
difficulties,
even though
I
I
love it.
still think I hopefully contributed some substance to it. I surprisingly got Charlie Kirk to agree with me on a bunch of stuff. The death penalty, warrantless NSA spying, and I'm kind of amazed at how well we got along on the panel about getting along. There was that shitty third string Daily Wire guy. It was a smug
there we go.
Milo wannabe. I had to bury him a few times, which was fine.
Alright, nice. Well, I got that settled out of the way. That's good. Alright. Well, that at least is now taken care of. I now have that big bag. And it just perfumes in this whole room. I love it. Perfumes the room. It's great. It's always good when you got some stuff to perfume your room with. God damn it. This my Ethernet cord. Look at this shit. I don't know if you can kind of see it, but there's a little thing that's supposed to clip. That thing broke off a while ago, so now I don't have one. It's gone. I'm just like, it's gone. But so I have to just like kind of do like a slight little tug every now and then kind of go, yeah, just kind of have to squeeze it in there. It's a little difficult, but you know it works. It's what you can do. Anyway, 7 minutes of bullshit, and I'm putting my drink over there. So, there was that. Oh, here we go. I'm looking for that. Just pretty much about it for what I got, I guess. I don't think there's anything else that I need here. Yeah, I think I got just about everything. Oh, and this. Did I pull this as well? I just want to make sure I have this. Jesus Christ. Alright, I'm turning that down. Man, the audio for this is always terrible. Everywhere Kyle appeared at Politicon, cheers can be heard from miles away. Fuck yeah, dude. I think Kyle is the most popular person on Politicon this year. I identify as a Kukliskian liberal. Hell yeah. Alright, enough looking at that. I don't need to dopamine loop on comment sections. That's for when I'm not streaming. When I'm streaming, that's for you guys to dopamine loop by comment sections. But, yeah. But unfortunately, there's no one here at the moment because I guess you folks would rather listen to this after the stream instead of before. Though once it's over, I'll definitely put a timestamp when the actual Ignarism starts because, yeah, this is quite a while before the actual show's starting, ain't it? Anyway, I think I'll do black and white because I like black and white. But, gonna grind some of this sweetener in there. Boom. Boom. And boom. Alright. So, before we begin, I'm just going to kind of say, what do I know about like Politicon from like what happened this year so far, and or at least like how do I feel about all of it, concerning what from the from Kyle questioning Chris Christie, which we do get on to a bit, the whole situation with Ann Coulter and all this shit, and I think it's a really amazing. I think it was a really amazing little event that happened this year, and it's things like this that make me wish I can go to these type of events because they're just awesome. But yeah, and another thing is that I just like I noticed that pretty much whatever I had looked up for Politicon, it was just Kyle basically. It was whatever was featured with Kyle, and usually it's just those big main panels that everyone was wanting, and it had Kyle involved. So it's just like it's just like everybody, like no matter where you went, it was like Kyle was doing the shebang, bro. It was all about his shebang. So yeah, like I mean, I'm pretty excited to check out some of this shit. I'm looking pretty excited about all this. So I think we're going to look at a little snippet, and then we're going to look at highlights at some of these panels here. Like here's what I'm going to do. Like because all these panels are about an hour long, I better get that out of here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to like put myself in the middle of it somewhere and just listen to what they're talking about, and we just kind of discuss from whatever was being discussed on. So that's what I'll do, and I'll also put everything at 1.5 speed so we can get through it, not have to worry about time. Make sure everything, besides these little clips, like the 2-minute, 3-minute clips, I'm not going to worry about that, but all these like hour-long panels, I'm definitely going to do that for, because I'm not going to listen for like 13 minutes to listen to a point. But, yeah. So, there we go. I think all this shit... Oh, one more. Boom. The Hassan Piker. Alright, I want to see where he blows up. I just want to see when Charlie Kirk blows up, because I want to kind of go near that, because that was hilarious. Is that near the end? Oh, that was near the end, was it? Oh, that was near the... Oh, it was like at the very end. Damn, son. YouTube notified me? Fuck yeah, Stefan. So I'm going to be talking about Politicon. You can kind of get at by this point. Was that really near the end?
So, we have to wrap it up now, but I want to say a couple of things. First of all, I'm really grateful to both of you. What we're seeing right here is except for that last part, is American democracy at work. This is about a competition of ideas. And since the founding of this country, this is really what it was all about. What's the role of government and what's the role of free enterprise?
Where was the explosion?
Both of you for having a constructive and lively debate. Give both of them a big round of applause. God bless America. Thank you. And God bless Donald Trump.
Oh, God. God bless Donald Trump. What's Politicon? Comic-Con, but for nerds. Or for, Comic-Con, but for political nerds. I forgot the political part of the whole thing. So, where the fuck was the whole explosion? I want to see that. I want to get near that. Man, this is hard. Did they cut that part out of this? Oh, I think they just cut it out entirely. Damn, did they? Wow. Yeah, they kind of did. Whatever. I'll just skip to a random point. Here, we'll, Alright, there we go. Alright, this, I'll, leave out right there. Alright, this, let's just skip to a random point. This was the Kyle Klinsky versus Scotty Neal Hughes debate at Politicon. And someone put 2019 instead of 2018.
To move this conversation forward, something that the president, then candidate Trump, campaigned on the heels of 7 years of Republicans saying...
I want to get to actually a specific point, so I want to find
Top 10 is all single-payer countries.
The problem is, tell that to women that can't get a mammogram, they have breast cancer.
Less political, but more literal in the sense is a law that U.S. presidents have to divest from any international businesses.
All right, well, we'll just go over this point here.
On at least the narrative
All right, we'll go right here for that one. All right, we'll skip here. I'm not going to worry about key point for that for these.
I'm serious, and they have a.
Oh God, you're Cucker Tolson. You have a screech voice. Cenk Uygur and Cucker Tolson have a debate.
We're doing that, and most people are not benefiting. Only a small number is benefiting.
Oh my God. All right, you know what? I want to go in the beginning for this one because this is Cucker Tolson we're talking about here. So let's go in the beginning for this one.
The host of Tucker Carlson tonight on Fox News, Tucker Carlson.
Well, there's a lot of people cheering him on. I'm just.
Since we're on the start with Tucker, how do we address this situation?
Okay, all right. That's actually a good spot right there. I just stopped wherever I stopped. That was a good point. This one I'm going to. Fuck, I don't know. Good. I'll just skip halfway for that. I have two of the Scott Neil Hughes debates up. Oh shit. Oh shit. I have two of them up. I feel like I know what. Well, the other one has better audio. That one sucks. Okay. Hey, all right. Got everything. Cool. All right. It only took me about 16 extra minutes, but due to technical difficulties, I wasn't going to be able to do what I initially planned, so I kind of had to improvise there real quick. So fun. And also, the liquor store had an accident. Someone crashed their car into the glass, so they closed early, and they had a fat plywood wall over that. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, I wanted some Reiki because I was going to enjoy myself, but I had to go to Harrison's and this little fucking convenient bumfuck store. And I was like, I'm going to go get some Mike Tartar because I can't get my fucking Reiki. I was very sad. Which liquor store? It's just the one that's close by. Really, right down the street from my house. It's off of Harrison or some shit. I don't know the actual name of the road or whatever. But yeah, well, now that I got everything up, I'll pull everything aside here. Boom, boom, boom. There we go. And look at there. There's my succulent little. There's my boy right there. Can you see him? He's right there. It's beautiful, isn't it? It's just absolutely beautiful. Anyway, I think we'll begin with this video while I grind this up and get started with this. So we can begin. Anyway, Politicon 2018. It's pretty good. It was pretty good con, I had to say. I at some point I'll have to go eventually. It's pretty great. Hey.
Hello, Governor. First of all, I want to say thank you for single-handedly destroying Little Marco Rubio. I think I watched that clip 40 times over and got nothing but enjoyment out of it, so thank you for that. You're welcome. My question is in regards to the opioid epidemic. I know that
So, I don't know if you caught that, but what Kyle was saying is thank you for crushing Little Marco Rubio in the debate. Because back in the general election, or not the primaries of 2016, Chris Christie at one point was just like, fuck it, I'm going to just go all in and go wreck on Little Marco Rubio. It's like, see, he just keeps repeating himself over and over because he had literal word-for-word talking points that he would keep doing. And he kept doing it even after Chris Christie called him out, and then he cut him off. It's like, see, there he goes again. He's doing it again. And it's just like, oh my Lord. Amazing. It was beautiful. And it just after that, Marco Rubio was just gone, wrecked, done. So what Kyle did was a little I'm going to wheeze myself in there. I'm going to snuggle myself up, warm myself up to you a little bit. So it was a good tactic on Kyle's part.
About that. In fact, you've gone as far as to call the AIDS of our generation. According to two studies in the Journal of the American Medical Association, legal recreational marijuana would help fight the opioid epidemic. So knowing that, and knowing that 62% of Americans now favor full legalization, why not come out in support of it? Because it's wrong.
So, what Kyle asked was, essentially, do you support recreational marijuana? And it's just like, and he's just like still saying no, essentially. And
epidemiological studies from both Harvard Medical School and from Stanford that tell you the exact opposite and say that marijuana is still a gateway drug and that people who try marijuana between the ages of 14 and 18 are three times more likely to try opioids or methamphetamines than people who don't. And I just don't believe that when we're in the midst of a drug addiction crisis that we need to legalize another drug.
And what's funny is he's saying it's like it's more likely for people to get into opioids, even though, at least for Oregon specifically, the opioid, the cases for the number of opioid overdoses decreased by 11%, at least for Oregon's statistics. So it's doing the opposite effect, if anything. It's not. It's pretty gradual. It's not like majorly, but it's still better than nothing, and it's still it's a good step in the right direction. It's at least handling 11% of the issue, which is better than 0% of the issue. So to say that, oh, it's a gateway to these opioids and the drugs and it's like, no, it's an old argument that don't work. Alcohol could be a gateway drug. Cigarettes could be a gateway drug. Like, just, Xanax, it could be a gateway drug. Like, anything could be a gateway. And if people are gonna, get into these drugs, it's probably likely because they were gonna try it anyway. So to say that marijuana specifically is a gateway to all this shit, no, it's just that they happen to also be using marijuana along with these other drugs usually, because they're probably taking the other drugs because they're already going to try it. So, nice point. Don't work.
People say, well, we have alcohol already, and all the rest of it. I get that. But I wouldn't hear when we legalized alcohol. Right? Would you ban it or not? No, I wouldn't ban it. You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. And that's a big important argument about marijuana, because once you legalize this, that toothpaste never goes back in the tube. You can't. So you tried it, by the way. The reason I know you can't do it is you tried it. It's called prohibition. And it didn't work.
Should state legal in California?
Well, listen, I think the states have the right to do what they want to do on this. But what I can tell you is that broad legalization of marijuana won't, in my view, or even minimize the opioid crisis. In fact, in some ways may add to it. And I will also say that I almost never agree with the teachers union in any state, anywhere.
Oh, nice quote by you, boy. I never agreed with the teachers union. Thank you for at least letting me know what your position is on education, you fat fuck. But that wasn't my point. I was going to make. My point was that this wasn't his position. He backed down a little bit. He softened his position because he initially wasn't even for the states' rights argument. He wasn't even initially for that. He was just like, nah, fuck states. We'll crack down even on legal states. So it's just like, oh, it's just like, oh, you're an authoritarian piece of shit that can't handle the fact that people enjoy smoking a plant every now and then. So it's just like, but I mean, I think it's because he walked into Kyle's trap there a little bit by acknowledging the thanks, from the comment about Rubio, and also he's in a room full of young people and old people who all support marijuana and also don't, or partially alike. So I mean, it's you don't want to just say that out in Politicon. So he had to back down. He was kind of put on the fire, his feet were put to the fire on that. So I don't blame him. But Mr. Fat Fuck McGee over there, your position is still dog shit. It's just, at this point, it's starting to become a non-debatable about marijuana. In fact, I think it is a non-debatable. It's like, if you're not pro legalization, it's like you don't understand the economic benefits, you don't understand just the libertarian argument of it, you don't get the free will argument for it. It's just like, my choice, bitch. well, I guess it ties into the libertarian argument, but you don't. And there's the medicinal argument, like, bro. It's just like, come on now, come on, Chris Christie, get with the times, wake up, bro. Nothing like getting drunk on Tuesday and driving straight into a liquor store. Exactly, dude. But I need to finish up my eggnog and Irish cream before I actually get into my mics, which I'll open up at some point. But
the Colorado Education Association has said this year that the single biggest challenge for their members to educate middle schoolers and high schoolers in Colorado is legalized marijuana. That kids are coming with gummy bears, and they're high in school, and if they're high a good part of the time, and it's making it much more difficult for them to teach. So that's not me. That's the Colorado Education Association, who I'm sure at this very moment they're watching.
so if what he's saying is true, which if you're not getting, was essentially saying, so, which kind of ties to this point earlier, it's like, I don't believe the, the student teachers unions or whatever, but it's like, but the Colorado Teachers Union Board or whatever said it's been a lot harder to educate students on marijuana or whatever. It's just like, well, then give them the proper resources to do education with. Like, come on. Are we this dumb? Are we this, like, intellectually lazy that we're just like, oh, well, they're saying it's hard and it's difficult to educate the children on marijuana. Well, give them the resources and the information to properly instruct them on what marijuana is. Like, for fuck's sake, do you not know what the Google machine is? Do you not know of the Bing device? Do you not know of what DuckDuckGo is? Like, come on, bro. Like, dude, there's search engines. Use them. For fuck's sake. Like, come on, dude. Like, you can look up what marijuana can do to a person and the benefits, the negative effects. Like, you can look all this up and still get, like, come on. Bruh. Like, Chris Christie, get with the Google machine. If you aren't pro legalization, you want to ban alcohol also. Kind of, who's a stoner and above average student? Well, Carl Sagan smoked weed, and that dude was a fucking scientist, author, and I don't think he was a professor. But I mean, like, there's people like I think even Neil deGrasse Tyson is. I don't think he personally smokes, but I think he did for a time. I mean, like, there's people who, like, I mean, people smoke weed, and I'm not even talking about a stoner. I'm just talking about marijuana as a substance that people will use. Like, people can use marijuana and not be a stoner. So, like, I mean, that to me, that's not, can't say it can't be done. Elon Musk is a stoner. Well, just because someone uses marijuana doesn't mean they're a stoner. Like, Elon Musk is definitely not a stoner. In fact, he actually said he finds it to be unproductive, so he doesn't really use it often. He kind of, on the Joe Rogan Experience, right after he smoked it, that's what he said, and also says he doesn't do it hardly at all. So, I mean, there are people who in higher powers and who are in higher classes and who are just of a higher intelligence and shit that use marijuana probably at similar rates of an average Joe, just on occasion, just does it from time to time. So, I mean, they're like, to me, a stoner's like they're literally doing it like every day, kind of like me. Like, I mean, I do it every day, and I do it recreationally on top of that as well. So, I mean, it's a mixture of all, just consistent use. But people who do it like medicinally, I wouldn't consider stoners. Just a time to time, occasional social thing, I wouldn't consider a stoner. It's the same as alcohol tends to negatively affect school. Not saying it should be legalized. That's that's my that's my point. Like, alcohol's legalized, cigarettes are legalized, and it's still problems at school. You're not gonna, I mean, but it's also still gonna be a problem even if it is legalized. So it's just like, or illegal. So it's just like, you might as well legalize it. So if they do get it, it's going to be from a dispensary that will be in like legalized containers and state required like containers like this, and maybe in little baggies like this, they get stuffed in them. Like, I mean, like, I'd rather kids get a hold of this shit, than get a hold of some weird black market street weed that could or could not be laced with like cocaine or some shit. I don't know, like, or just or it's like synthetic marijuana or some shit. Like, I mean, if they are gonna get marijuana, while at school, I'd rather them get it through, a legal store, that they got it from someone else. I mean, because people do that with alcohol. I mean, fuck, like, I know people who were, or, who were in high school, or I think, are still in high school probably right now, or just got out, who did that all the time. They'll get some adult to give them a bunch of money for a bunch of booze, and he'll buy it for them, give him like one of the bottles or some shit as compensation, and it's that. Skunk weed in Montana. Which begs the question, should the age be 18, 19, or 21? I'm kind of inclined to do it at either 19 or 20, myself, personally. But, I mean, I'm kind of like, because I feel like 18 in this country is a little too young considering how immature a lot of people are. But I feel like maybe 19 or 20 would be a better idea, because 21 seems like it's just too much. Canada has 18 or 19, US has 21. Yeah, like Iceland has it at a pretty nice spot. They have it at 20. You can drink at 20. You just can't, you can, you just can't, I think you can't buy alcohol at 20, but you can consume it and have it in your possession. But you just can't like go to a liquor store or go to a bar or whatever and buy some. Or I guess you could go to a bar, but you can't like go to a store and buy some. Essentially, it's like what at 20 you can go to bars and stuff, but at 21 that's when you can like have free reign in Iceland. So all sorts of countries do it in all sorts of different ways, and I kind of like Iceland's method a little bit. I feel like it should have just been straight 20 for everything, but I liked it. It's not too bad of a system. It's slightly confusing. It's like, oh, I can't buy it, but I can go to bars. That doesn't make sense. But in a way, it kind of does, because when you go home, then you're not incentivized to continue drinking more and getting yourself hurt or something on the way home or something. So in a way, it's actually kind of makes some sense. Well, technically, you can consume alcohol in any age in the U.S. if it's in private residence. Yeah, I mean, it's just publicly speaking, and even then, public intoxication and public drinking is illegal anyway. So I don't know that law particularly in Iceland, because I've seen people drunk in the streets drinking, but I've also seen people just drunk in the streets. So I don't know their laws over there on that, but yeah, anyway, I am just like totally digressing from the whole situation at hand. Damn. But yeah, I mean, it goes into a good perspective on the whole thing about legalization of drugs. I mean, it kind of does kind of broad out, the whole like age of, like age of like legality for things. Like, I mean, that does open up to like the broader atmosphere of other things like marijuana and shit like that. So, it's definitely like when it comes to like a age for like everything or for anything like marijuana, I also will probably do that as like 20 as well. Um, I would probably also if we're doing like psychedelics and stuff like that, I probably wouldn't. I actually would say 21 is probably the best bet for those type of things, because like, while I still think there's no overtly harsh negative effects, while there definitely can be. I'm not saying there isn't. On psychedelics, I would say that having that as 21 and up, or maybe even 25, would probably be a good idea, unless medically prescribed. So like that's kind of how I would treat psychedelics, because they're a little bit more of a trickier thing to deal with, legally speaking, because there are people, you don't want people just tripping balls all the time. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, that I would treat probably a little bit more medically than just as a recreational tool. Though I still would, incentivize a recreational market. It'll kind of like marijuana. It wouldn't be like just going to a dispensary to grab weed. You'll have to like uh go through a system to do so, and I don't know how I would do that. I probably would say, if you're like, let's say, going to the dispensary, if they also have a permit to, like, if they can have a permit to sell psychedelics as well in a separate room within their dispensary, and you could go in there to get that stuff. I could kind of see that as a type of thing. I don't know. I mean, I know that that type of conversation it's been brought up before because Oregon had a poll on psychedelics, specifically magic mushrooms, recently, on if they should be legalized recreationally and medically for both purposes, and it was very contested. It was more leaning on no than yes, but that to me is a good sign because hey, that means there are people who are open to the idea and willing to look towards the prominent ideas of what psychedelics can do. I support legalization, partially safer than alcohol. Partially, I mean, marijuana is completely safer than alcohol for sure. I don't think support legalization anything harder than alcohol. I mean, we have our prescription medications are way harder than alcohol, and we have that legalized. I mean, because our doctors prescribe it to us. So, I mean, we just have the street version illegal. That's it's just that the way the system is played with all these with the drugs and everything. It really is not recreationally. Well, of course not recreationally, but that's what I mean. It's like we still get addicted to the shit. It's still pushed through us with the opioid crisis and everything. And yet they turn around and say, "Oh, but these drugs are very bad for you and will just destroy and wreck your lives and shit." And and then they do a lot of regulations on alcohol, cigarettes, and everything, which is a good thing. Don't get me wrong on that. It just seems a little to me, well, not a little. It just seems very contradictory, for our government to do that. And at this rate, we need to do research and study and do more uh, advancement into what these the street equivalent of these drugs are into more pure, safer forms and in more regulated dosages, and work on a process to get it legalized. I mean, you're not going to stop someone from taking heroin or taking cocaine or some shit. So you might as well give it to them in the safest dosage and the safest form possible, where it's legal and they don't have to worry about some fucking cartel killing them because they gave them like $100 too short for their fucking kilo or looked at them funny while they were doing a transaction or some shit. I don't know. Like, I mean, this whole drug war that we've been perpetrating for the last like 15, 20 some years is like just been disastrous for not only Americans, but for fucking Mexicans and for taxpayers and for everybody. It's just been a fucking disaster. But for legalized medically, if it's found to have benefits, opioids should not be legal, in my opinion. Then for millions. Combined dosages. Well, okay. I mean, that's what I mean. I don't. That's you're talk. I mean, you're talking to someone super libertarian on issues like this. I mean, it's just because there's a case where someone might like I can do the same thing for marijuana right now. The legal amount that you can buy from a store from a dispensary is 1 ounce. But I can still go to multiple different dispensaries and buy like 5 ounces in a given day if I wanted to. Like, I mean, I can make that same argument with marijuana. So, I mean, there are people who are going to do that, and when we legalize it, okay, I can't stop that person. That's what they're going to do with it, and. What I mean, what if they're having a party or some shit? Want to share the fun with everybody? I mean, I don't know. I mean, if they do, then that I would. I mean, that's why I would encourage public rehabilitation and shit like that. People, even like with alcohol and shit like that, it's still legal. I mean, cigarettes are still legal, but people still die from it because the shit's dangerous. And yet because even though we do have it legalized, I mean, we also have education and in our health classes to tell us, at least try to make us learn about the dangers as much as possible with these type of substances. And all we could do at that point is just like, well, they're harmful, if you do it overdo it, so it's all onus on you, essentially. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I call streaming name fed on social society. Don't well, I don't want to digress too farther from the whole Politicon thing, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's one of those issues where I feel like it's more of a like if I had better numbers, if I was actually doing the Ignarism of the drug debate, I would definitely love to continue on it for sure. But I'm definitely gonna have to continue on with that. Addicts can't get jobs and usually end up homeless, but that's why I will have public rehabilitation to, if they get into that situation, we'll have a public rehabilitation where they have an open resource that they can go to at any time they want and get transitioned into a rehab center out of city or wherever they wish. Yeah. And or whatever is available, and then they can go be there, rehabilitate for however long they need, and then get integrated back into society. Like, I mean, there's solutions to problems like that. I mean, which I would say would be rehabilitate them. I mean, right now it would say put them in jail and punish them because they're a junkie, criminal, homeless bum. But in my eyes, they're someone who needs help and needs to and probably doesn't want to be in that situation and probably wants to be productive in some way in society and wants to I would have a public rehabilitation programs to help encourage them to get back into society. I mean, we have in some ways that for alcohol and for I don't know for marijuana right now, but for a little bit opioids, but not too extensively. But that's because we have a really bad opioid crisis, and I think the government put a program in for that. But I'm really not too sure. Negus, greetings. The drugs are easily available. Well, by however the rehabilitation program sees fit. I mean, I don't know the best way to rehabilitate people. I'm not a specialist in that field, so I mean that would be the wrong question for me. They need to the addict person crap. Well, that's why I would incentivize public rehabilitation. Because the premise of that is to eliminate that type of problem. Is to eliminate that. So yeah, I got high with my boss today, dude. You're fucking like set. You got a really good lineup there, bro. They need to allow for sentencing and rehabilitation facilities for almost all drug cases. I would just say all drug cases, period. Unless it's like a violent drug case where there's a gang involved, then you might want to get other shit involved. You smoke your room? I did earlier and about to again. And the record gets wiped clean when they complete it. Yeah, like that's what I mean. Like we had, like, I mean, what you're talking about is the main reason why I want to legalize the drugs because people. I mean, how many times have people's lives have been ruined because they had a little bit of cocaine or they were found doing heroin by a fucking cop or some shit, or we were caught selling weed or some shit. Like, I mean, how many times have people's lives have been like, oh well, now I'm trying to make my own buck right now, but oh fuck, well, or I'm just want to get I just want to tweak my consciousness and have a little bit of a high, cause like I'm about to do right now, and it's just like like. Oh, but suddenly if it's not alcohol or smoking a fat cigar or some shit, it's suddenly like you're going to jail. I mean that's a major problem. And part of at least like my compromise will be decriminalization because that will still go after that specific problem, which I think is at least the main key factor of at least part of my argument. And I don't think it will incentivize people because if it's just readily available. I think it incentivizes people if it's seen more as a taboo. Like if you're saying don't ever do, marijuana is bad, like saying don't to get your hand in the cookie jar, but if you're a kid, you're probably more likely to put your hand in the cookie jar, if you're consistently told no all the time, because that generally, being repeatedly told no, that's bad, generally doesn't work as well as just learning what the fuck the thing is and just, and be like, whatever about it. I mean, which is, kind of the whole end game for that. It's just like, it's just a whatever thing. But right now we have to like really be, have a lot of research and a lot of, statistics and studies ready, or at least beginning for this whole thing. The government should not be providing. Well, it's not provide. Well, legalization wouldn't allow the government to provide. It would the government's involvement will be the taxation and regulation of it, or regulation of it. So they would be regulating them to make them safer, if anything, and regulate the dosages for them. I mean, which is kind of what they do for marijuana already, or at least not the federal government, but state governments do. But if the federal gov were to, I'm sure they'd do it the same way, or at least a similar way that a lot of states are. But I mean, the government wouldn't be providing hard drugs. I mean, like they already kind of do with with like prescription medications and doctors and shit, I guess. I don't know, but yeah, so of health and people. Well, that's what pharmaceutical industries do. So, I mean, I like that. That's what our healthcare systems. I mean, you're saying that's what our healthcare system is about, is continuing to profit off the addiction and health of people. I'm talking about just people's free will to have whatever substance they want in them if they choose to do so. Except once in a while work. Well, I already do. It's already messed up by that. I don't want to get worse. Well, I'm not trying to make it get worse. I'm trying to, like, oh my, I mean, this isn't the stream for this argument. All right, well, so all right, so I will have to hold this, unfortunately, because I got Politicon to talk about in this stream. So we'll have to hold on to this debate for another time. And plus, it also isn't as balanced this way, chat versus me just blaring my words at you with my mouth instead. I have the advantage. I have the high ground. So it will be best to wait for the whole legalize all drugs debate, or should we not debate, essentially. Well, we'll save this for another time. But it's like, because I definitely want to continue it, but due to other plans, I can't. So I hope you understand, though. I do want to continue and discuss this, but it's just like, I want to, but I can't. So, anyway, it took a long time, from that, but, alright, so, more chats. How come videos in black and white? Because I can. Because I can. Legalize all drugs. Legalize all drugs, yeah. Because I can. I could do it in bubbles. I can have bubbles if you want, but I choose not to have bubbles. I choose to have black and white because I can. And plus, whenever I do these deep and intellectual discussive streams, I do in black and white. Marijuana's good for you? Concur. Oh, I should probably play something while I'm doing that. So, this is on the panel called What Now Liberals? What now, liberals? And like I said in the very beginning, I kind of skipped through a random point, so there might be just like literally in the middle of a point. So what I'm going to do is discuss like whatever's being discussed on it in various parts of these panels. That's how I'm going to do this. And when this thing gets when my technical difficulties stop being technical difficulties, I will. I'll definitely do a more in-depth analysis of everything, because I think I'm gonna do like little segments where I kind of discuss every panel. But anyway, I have these at 1.5 speed, so hope that you guys can understand it. If not, after stream, just do this at like 0.5 speed, and you might be able to hear it in normal speed. So, yeah. Anyway, what now, liberals? Triggered.
I feel like the policies of the Democratic Party should be for working people, full stop. So,
Oh shit, well, first point, I already just am like, damn, I'm wrecked. Kyle Clancy comes up with the point. The Democratic Party should be for the working man's party. And I'm just like, damn. I'm just like, what can it, damn. Already. I didn't even mean for that to happen. I just skipped to a random point, but there's a point, and and yeah, what else can I say to that? Don't want to drop that. Oh my god, you know, one thing I hate is this audio, because I'm gonna have to go back and forth if I really want to make this sound good. Because I can't hear Kyle that well, unfortunately. Who do you think is worse for the body, marijuana or alcohol? Alcohol. Marijuana, marijuana has killed 0 people. Alcohol's killed at least like 100 some thousand or some shit like that. I think it's pretty competitive with tobacco. I know that much. So it's pretty deadly. Yeah, marijuana's better. Smoke the ganja every day. But essentially what Kyle was saying is like, he was talking about, you know, how the Democratic Party should be a party for the workers, essentially. And he also made a point where saying the white working class is just condescending to the rest of the working class, because it's not just the white working class that's the working class, it's everyone else as well, including Mexicans, blacks, Latinos, Native Americans, you name it. You know what I mean? And the Democratic Party should be just about that, like everyone a part of the working class. I'm just like, damn straight, because the working class should seize them damn means, bitch. We need to seize them means. Zero the issue. Slaughter diagnosed cause of death is far lower than alcohol, though. We want to know why it's harder to diagnose the cause of death, usually because they have other drugs in with them. Like people who've died with marijuana in the system have also been found to have either like alcohol or fucking like cocaine or heroin, like other drugs in their system. It tend to be found in illegal states. It's generally due to some other causation, not directly marijuana. So they might have it in their system due to death, but marijuana wouldn't be the direct causation. Like from direct causation, you couldn't die from marijuana. Like you can die with it in your system. I mean, you can die with anything in your system. So I mean, that's a given. But if for it to be a direct causation is a different story, though. What you gonna smoke out of? Boom. But in the meantime, since now I've because I feel like I'm going to have to explain these points, because unfortunately y'all are not going to be able to hear too well. And every time, and what you are going to be able to be hearing is, woo! Yeah! Woo! And it's like, oh shit. It's like, oh god, I don't want to hear that. So I'll make it work. We'll figure it out, but this is what we got to live with. Bitch. Well, okay, this game's so intense that I need to actually go normal.
Medicare for all helps. Working women, working men, people of color, immigrants, it helps everyone. The problem is that Democrats have historically, for the last 30 years, acted as though They have to win over the group have to sell it, and therefore you need to really talk about turnout. Just factor, without demanding it, the white one. So,
So let me ask you guys this question. You guys see recent data that a significant percentage of middle class white women are starting to abandon the Republican Party. As we talk about how the Democratic Party should form a message going to midterms and beyond, is there room for disenfranchisement, I should say, disaffect Republicans? Folks who say, you know what, I cannot stick with the Republican Party under Trump. Is there room for those types of voters in the Democratic Party going forward? Marcos?
So, Bakari sellout, yes. I don't really like him too much either, but his main question essentially was, can Trump supporters be welcomed in the Democratic Party? And I'd say yes. Not all of them, though. Some of them. And my main reason is this, because in the primaries, not everyone voted Trump just off of nationalistic zeal. It was also economic reasons, like because there are Obama voters who voted for him, who voted for Obama twice, who voted for Trump. 11% of the Democrats or the Democratic Party voted for Trump. And there's even Democrats in office now who are also voting for Trump, which is tremendous. Great. Nice to know that you're being cucked instead of obstructing like they did for you for 8 years, but digressing from that point. And it's... So I do think there is a percentage you're able to tap into to the Trump base where you can win them back over. But there is definitely a good concrete chunk of that base where you're just not going to win. There's just no way, because they're either just outright, just to be fair, racist as fuck, or borderline Nazis, or are Nazis, or are just so ignorant and naive of what's really happening that they're just willing to vote against their own interests, which there are people like that. And unfortunately, those type of people you can't tap into. But there are people who, you know, are able to be tapped into who did vote for Trump, just, you know, not for those social reasons mainly. So I do think there is some level of the Trump base where we can tap into, and it's primarily for economic reasons. So a lot of this, so the left / liberals, what really they need to do is really focus on economics, focus on what's really fucked with our system economically, focus on the economic failures of our fucking endless wars that we've been perpetuating for the last 18 years with Afghanistan, Iraq, and the 5 other countries who are openly bombing and doing intervention in, and the countless other countries who are doing a shadow war in, like in Africa and shit. So, you know, there's room for these people in that base. Just not all of them, unfortunately. And I wish that we could unite that entire base, but it's just no way that you can. And there's also a lot of people in that base that are just fundamentalist, religious, Christian, theocratic fuckwits who are brainwashed and mentally chained to a barbaric, primitive religion that is just savage as fuck. And it's just, you know, and there's no way you're going to be able to tap into those type of people unless you're those type of people themselves. So, I mean, I'm back on the liquor. Well, damn it. Politics, another word for big maker deal breaker. Drink your prune juice. There really should be a third party. There should be like 10 parties. Like, there needs to be 10 parties with like at least 2 representatives in office from each. I mean, of course, it's going to be the big ones, but at least there'll be like 6 minority parties and like 4 major parties. That's what I prefer. And all of them come from all sorts of different political spectrums, from communist side all the way from moderates to democratic socialists, from social democrats to just liberals, neoliberals, conservatives, the Christian conservatives. You know, have a party for all of them so people can actually like choose which ones they want, and they all can form coalitions and shit. Make it a little bit more parliamentary. Doesn't matter if they win right away. Yeah, like, this country's already fucked. It's better to start fixing it now than keep waiting. Honestly, I'd rather prefer to restructure our entire system. Like, throw this one in the trash can and do it from scratch. Like, I think if we like we're at a point where that needs to happen, or we need to start fixing our shit now. Like, it either needs to be now, or we need to just literally do it and start over, entirely over. Like, I don't know what like, and what I mean by entirely over is like restructure the government a little bit, do reforms in all branches, maybe even add a fourth fucking branch. I don't know. Take away a branch. Like, I don't know what would be the solution afterwards. We're gonna all have to come together and make this fat fucking discussion like we did back when we first founded this country and then had to actually form the Constitution. Because I don't know if anyone knows this information about the history of America, but we initially didn't start with the Constitution, but with the Articles of Confederation. We all had to come together because that shit was fucked up, and we all had to come together at one point and restructure our whole system of government. So if we've done it before, it's why couldn't we do this type of shit again? And other countries have done this countless times before. And it's just that right now, most of those countries got their shit settled. It's just that we don't. And it's kind of appalling that we don't, but we don't. So I don't know exactly what to say other. We either need to just totally scrap our system of government and restructure it entirely, or to reform it severely, like major reforms, like even look at the Constitution, maybe look at it and reword it in better detail and actually define what certain shit means, so we can actually like determine like, oh, the First Amendment actually means there's a separation of church and state. So if there's a law that's religiously backed or influenced, well, that ain't law, bitch, because secularism. Like, there's a separation of church and state for a reason. We don't like, because every religion is just under the one equal branch, and it's that they just can't rise up into governmental power. Besides, oh well, you can be religious if you want while being representative. Like, I have no problem with Muslims or Hindus, Jews, Christians, or anyone being in government. But if they're doing that to push their religious narrative, then that's a problem, and they shouldn't be in office. That should be a disqualifier, if anything. Make or moderate the it's not power of these. Two parties can't get an agreement. How could 3 or 4? Doesn't mean they already have Supreme Court rulings. Well, so I mean, I already have with what? Like, I mean, I don't know exactly with what. I mean, I went through so many different points that I don't know what you meant by that. Like, on reforming certain structures of government, or on like amendments and shit of the Constitution. If that's what you were talking about, then I mean, I know they've already have done that type of stuff. Steamroller? I do have a steamroller. It's just not in here, and I don't want to go get it because I'm doing this. But I mean, if that's what you were, no, separation of church and state. Well, then how come we have Mike Pence who's very theocratic in nature, trying to push this site, or at least try to incentivize these and handcuff certain things like Planned Parenthood because of his religious reasons, like or like who's the fucking senator? What's the senator's name? Fuck. How am I blanking on the senator's name right now? Ted Cruz, Ted Cruz. I mean, this isn't a guy I was specifically thinking about, but this, I mean, even he was running off of like a theocratic backing. I mean, just because we have it's written in, there's separation of church and state. No, like, especially the GOP, they don't follow it at all. Not at all. Sometimes even some Democrats don't. Smoke some weed? I will. Damn, son. Wasn't America first founded by people looking for religious freedom? Exactly, which is why they've written that in. It covers positions people run on. Positions that people run on. What? First Amendment covers. Hold on. So the First Amendment covers the freedom of expression, the freedom of speech, the freedom of press, to the freedom of the freedom of religion, which that's the key point, though. The freedom of religion, what does that mean? You're free to have your own religious beliefs, and also that also would mean you're free from religious tyranny, right? That is what that would mean. And religious tyranny generally is backed by theocracy. And if there's a law or a bill that's pushed backed by a religious narrative, then that would be a theocratic law or bill or policy. So that would be against it, though. So to me, that goes against the First Amendment. So, I mean, it prevents the government from endorsing and censoring religions. Yeah, and that should also go as far as making policy because of a religious backing. Like, that would be endorsing a religion, in my view. Doesn't prevent the individual politicians from trying to enforce their individual beliefs on people, but that's endorsing a religion because they're endorsing their religion on the people. So they should be prevented from the powers of the government to push their religious beliefs on people. They should be pushing like policy that would actually benefit people, or what their constituents want in their region or some shit. Like, that's what they should be doing, not pushing their religious dogma, because not all their constituents are going to believe in it. That's what they'll decide if it's legal or not. Well, oh my god. You get my point, though. You get my point. But anyway, let's see what I think. This was directed to Kyle. This question, I hope we all remember the question. It was like, can we? I think it was, can we accept Trump supporters into or the Trump base into the Democratic Party, or win them over? And I already went for my position, but let's see what they have to say, or whoever was asked. Oh, it's whoever this twerp is on the corner. This dude. So there's this guy. There's this chick. There's this black chick who's pretty cute. There's Kyle, my boy. There's this one chick. I think, and then I think this is Bakari Sellers over here moderating.
And they looked at the poll in 2016 and ended up voting with one fact is that single women are 60-40 Democratic, married women about 55-45 Republican. And it doesn't matter if you're never been married, divorced, or widowed. So when you get married, a woman becomes more conservative. If she is a widow or divorced, she reverts because we're Democrat. So they are a little demographic. They didn't come through for the Democrats in 2016. When I look at the possibility of a wave, if these white suburban Republican women, if they stick to polling and they go Democratic, we're seeing massive gains. If not, we're seeing moderate gains. That's the big factor as far as I'm concerned. So I hope that we're getting, and there's definitely room for them. I mean, these are people who they're not the racist, Trumpian base.
So far he's talking about identity politics, really, because he's talking about the widowed, middle-aged white women, essentially. And it's just like, what? Like, to me, that just doesn't really make sense, because there's a lot of middle-aged, widowed white women who have divorced and shit, and it's like, not all of them are Republican, and not all of them are Democrat. So it's just like, huh? It's just that's just a really confusing, like, argument, because if you really want to go after the female Trump base, then, I mean, a lot of them also are very pro-life, essentially, so you can't make a lot of social issues arguments, like, because evidently it doesn't faze them, especially at this point. So you would just have to, like, do what I said before. You just have to go for economic issues, because that's what affects them the most. And if you talk about the economic issues that will benefit them, like expanding Social Security, healthcare for all, increasing helping rebuild our infrastructure and increase infrastructure spendings, offer a new deal, get public housing, public rehabilitation, legalizing marijuana, at least decriminalizing drugs, Stefan. And, going down that list, I mean, you're more likely to win over a Trump voter that way than talking about identity politics, social issues like abortion or religious whatever, like, I mean, or immigration or those type of issues. You're more likely to win them over the other way than those type of issues. So that would be my way of going against or going about winning over any Trump base. Ignore Husky social justice mad pup. Wow. Did you come up with that yourself? I don't really want to be associated with Trump people in general. I'll register as independent if party shifts aligned with Trump. Hate public housing. Well, I'm talking about the base that we can tap into and win over, because like I said earlier, 11% Democrats in 2016 voted for Trump, and there were Obama voters who voted for Obama twice who also voted for Trump. And so there is a chance of winning over people who are moderate in the Trump base. I mean, we've been doing this like since 2016, like every day, like we win more people over who are like, fuck Trump now, because he's maintained the status quo, and he's every day he's just proving more and more to be more of a con man. Sometimes he'll win some people back over, but we generally win more people back over on the other side towards the left. So, I mean, there is, like, I don't want to be associated with the racist, pro-life, theocratic Christians chunk of the base, but the base who voted on a more economic standing and his votes in that sense and supported him in that sense, then I'm like, all right, well, let me try to win you over, because what, like, your reasonings for backing him were wrong, but you're not naive or dumb or some racist bigot. So they have been dumb their whole lives. Speaking, they have very few, except maybe infrastructure. I feel like you're generalizing that too much about the base. I mean, I feel like there is people that are able to be won over, like Robert, for example, like who lives here with me. Like, he voted for Trump, and he's or at least is kind of a Trump supporter in a sense, but he's not like a partisan about it. Like, there's plenty of things that him and I agree with, that he obviously is not really fond of Trump at all, honestly. So there is a chance to win over that type of base. Like, I mean, I think you're given too much doubt over that type of base. I mean, because it is in there. Or we'll vote for Trump 2020. No, he won't. I don't even know if he will or not. Like, I mean, that time hasn't come yet. I don't even know how he will vote in the midterms, if he will. So, I mean, he's not, like, he won't vote. Like, I don't know how he will vote, but depending on who's the nominee in 2020 for the Democrats, I could, given a good argument, he could potentially be won over to not vote for Trump. So, I don't know. There's no way he's voting for Kate Brown. Yeah. I mean, well, to be fair, I don't think he knows anything about either of them. So you'll probably be like, who do I vote for? And I'll just say, hey, here's my reasons why I'm voting for these type of people. here's a little information about the other people. I don't really like those particular people, or I just choose to vote otherwise. You decide. Like, I mean, I'm not going to, like, force someone to vote one way or the other, but, persuading, them to vote otherwise for what I at least would say would be for their better interests, that's another story. So, I mean, I do think it's, I don't really, like, I know there's at least like 30% of the American populace that's concrete loyal to Trump no matter what. But or at least like 25 to 30%. And then there's at least like a 10 to 15% of the same Trump supporter base that could potentially be won over, and then the rest are just, well, the other side, essentially. I can see him consider Bullock in 2020 if he's a nominee. The better question is Robert even registered? Oh, yeah, he is. I can't take 6 more years. Me neither, man. Me neither. Anyway, let's move on to the Cenk Uygur and Tucker Carlson. I'm actually kind of interested because I've never seen this yet. So I'm kind of interested to see how this goes.
So I want to start with Tucker. How do we address this situation of people who are definitely suffering a lot, but also don't have visas to come in? How do we start to approach this situation?
Well, I mean, you have to create a hierarchy of imperatives. First of all, thanks so much for having me. I'm really glad to be here and in a room full of people who don't live in Washington with someone smart to talk to. And I'm going to really try to be as sort of civil and polite as I can, and maybe my mind will be changed because in this world things are changing so fast. Why wouldn't your mind change? So maybe you can change your mind. I would say on the question of this group of migrants coming north, the one that came 3 months ago coming north, the 22 million who are currently living here illegally, it's all sort of species of the same question, which is the first. I mean, there are many questions, and one of them is, how do you help other people? And a lot of smart people run NGOs are thinking about that in Washington, and some are doing a good job, others are not. But the main question the U.S. government has to answer is, how do we enforce our laws voted on democratically by our Congress? And how do we protect our people, the people to whom we have really the only duty that we have, right? I mean, the purpose of the government is to protect you and to help you. And again, I'm a Christian, and I think about...
Okay, so let's talk about that quick opening statement there. I'm a Christian, before that part. Everything else until then. So, I don't necessarily disagree, because I am going to still do a pre-recorded video for this whole caravan thing that's been talked about in the news lately. That's coming north here to the U.S. I don't know much about it, so that's why I'm doing that. But besides that point, with this here, with what Tucker Carlson saying, just kind of on a blatant statement of just what he was just saying, I don't necessarily disagree, because I do, it is important to, it is important, and I think, one of the main premises for the government and one of the things they should be doing is to protect your people and to serve them. So I don't disagree with that. So, I mean, he didn't say serve, but, I think the government should be serving the people, to serve in their benefit and to protect them at the same time. Like, that's what I think those should be at least the 2 main core things of government, is to serve and protect the people. And if there is potential hazards within migration that are, out there that, that could potentially be a threat, like terrorist threats or cartel threats, et cetera, or just criminal threats, then yeah, we should make sure that we protect our nation from those type of people. But with this whole caravan thing, which I think he's primarily alluding towards, my main issue is that, well, considering that I don't know much about it, so I'm just going off the information that there's about 3,000 to 10,000. I hear different numbers every time I hear about it. But about 3,000 to 10,000 people coming north, and that's about it. That's about it. I don't know much other than that. And that a lot of right-wing radio hosts and a lot of right-wing talking heads are fear-mongering over it, which makes sense. It's the immigration issue, and that's a social issue that we shouldn't be talking about if we are to win over some people on the right that are a little bit more moderate and might be more left than we think. Anyway, besides that point, Uh, I don't know how I feel other than to say then they just have to go for the same procedure that we always have with people who are coming over seeking visas and citizenship here, or refuge here if they're refugees, economic or otherwise. So if that's the case, then we need to just go for the proper procedures for them. If there happen to be suspicious, questionable, criminal, or whatever have you, then we should extend our investigations further into them or turn them down. Either way. And with this fat group of people, it's easier to probably turn those type of people down. But the people who are seeking asylum or citizenship or visas here to actually make a living here and to, participate in our economy as much as benefiting themselves and, putting money in their pockets to make a living, then I don't really see a problem with that. And if at least like half of those people are willing to do that, then I say let those half of those people in. And as long as they're willing to participate, like I said, and do everything as I was saying before, like to me that's not an issue. Like, and I really hate this whole straw man argument. Like, what if they're all criminals and stuff, and all this, or if they're illegals and shit. It's like, well, did you not just hear what I just said? Like, I mean, I made it pretty clear that if there's some questionable or criminal background on them, whatever have you, then turn them down. But, like, I don't like, to me, because the immigration issue is not at like this crisis that, the right likes to make it out to be. To me, I don't see it as a crisis. Other factors make the immigration a crisis, like the drug war, for example. Like, I find that amongst like economic factors to be some of the reasons to this immigration crisis. I mean, I don't really think it's that big of a crisis as people make it out to be. I mean, there's still a problem with it. I don't deny that there is, but I just don't think as severe as people make it out to be. And I think it just requires some basic reforms into our immigration policy. All Texas, Florida. Maeve Dennis push what Republicans want to do. Social Security, Florida will swing. I'm not really worried about that, actually. It might not become a Comey 2.0. They will arrive at board time. Fix it at the source. Other countries involve money for massive infrastructure projects to return for fixing the corruption. So we saw with Comey, I don't think it matters. This is getting massive news coverage of Trump and Co. are going on trying to paint Democrats all wanting to let a massive war in the U.S. You see, that's the fear mongering I'm talking about, and it's just one, stupid, two, fake news, and three, just disgusting. A lot won't qualify because in interviews tonight, a lot of them say they were feeling because no jobs or no money, and not political or religious persecution. And you see, why is that a disqualifier? That should be a qualifier to me. They have no jobs. They don't have money. They got nowhere else to go. They need, and in the place where it's supposedly the land of the free, where we have the American dream, where and it's the land of opportunity, which obviously it's not. Let's just be fair. It ain't. It definitely ain't. But if at least we're going to have a faux pseudo idea that we're going to do that, then shouldn't that be a qualifier to let people in? 3,000 plus people. Well, yeah. Like, I mean, this particular anomaly is a crisis, but before that, I'm talking about mainly before this caravan and taking that out of the equation. Like, I don't find it to be a massive immigration crisis, but this particular issue is definitely a crisis at hand. I do see this as a crisis, but the overall taking that out of the equation perspective of the immigration issue, I don't really see it as a bigger crisis as it's made out to be. Trump is using this for fear factor to help his objective. Yes, and I'm afraid that will work. Of course it will work. I know, I can tell it's already going to. The only ones that would support letting them in is California, and Trump has been doing a very good job at alienating Cali from the rest of the U.S. Yeah, I mean, it's just fucked. I mean, I really do feel bad for those people because I know that there's a pretty good portion of those people are probably just innocent families trying to make a living for themselves, trying to find a better place to live. And, and I am sure there are cartels and gang organizations and criminal organizations that are taking advantage and exploiting it or manipulating this situation for their favor and benefit to do more of their criminal activity. I can guarantee you they are. So that's why we need to probably put a slightly more stricter but same process for these type of people. But unfortunately, our government ain't going to do that. But to me, that would be my sensible solution to the issue. But again, sensibility isn't in America's vocabulary. Republicans don't want the healthcare or Social Security or infrastructure to come up. Yeah, they all want to defund it. Which is hard because Cali is the bastion of capitalism. I know, right? Free market until it doesn't go in our favor. Oh, wait, I think that's fascism because that's essentially corporate control of the government, but it still corporations' favors. But if there are other corporations essentially that go against their narrative, then it ain't capitalism anymore. It ain't the free market. It's like, oh, we got to crush that shit. And considering that Trump's administration is a bunch of establishment sellout bitch boys, then, well, the ones in Cali aren't going to be welcome to that home club, so they're going to alienate them. So, kind of sounds like, like exile. Essentially, it's just not literally exiled. You can't. I mean, we're not in those times anymore where we can just like straight out do insane, tense shit like exiling literal companies and people, organizations out of countries and shit. And if they don't, we'll execute them and all this shit publicly in their homes or whatever the fuck. Like, I mean, we ain't in those times, but damn it, we can get close. We can get close. Saudi Arabia did do some crazy shit to journalists, had body doubles and all this shit. So, I mean, there's that as well. There is also that. So, I mean, there's crazy shit going on. Anyway, let's see what Tucker the Cuck Carlson has to say.
A person who's not particularly good faith, but decent faith, okay? So I'm always sort of for helping people, but that the government's job is to represent the voters and enforce the laws that they sent their representatives to Washington to pass.
AKA serving them, like I said earlier.
And that's kind of all their job is, actually. So our law says that you need permission to come into this country, and that is the law of every country that is a country. And without that, you're sort of not a country. So, I mean, you could ask the obvious question, which is, there are an awful lot of poor people around the world. Does everyone have a right to come here and go on Medicaid? I don't know. I mean, if you think so, let's speak so I can understand, and let's talk it through. And tell me why. Where does that obligation come from? Exactly. Is it written in the Constitution? Is it in the Bible? What exactly are you saying? But you're not hearing that. Instead, you're hearing an awful lot of the kind of moral bullying that has come to characterize all of our political conversations, where the person you're debating, in this case I'm debating, begins with the presumption of I'm a better person than you. I care more deeply for these people than you do. And if you were a good person, you would agree with me. Well, I mean, that's a theological debate. And I reserve a huge part of Sundays for those. But it's not really a public policy debate. There isn't much of a public policy debate here. Our laws are as they are, and if you want to change them, send representatives to Washington, and maybe we're about to see that happen. But there's a massive cost to any government saying, because of political pressure, temporary political pressure, we're going to ignore our laws. Then why can't I ignore the law? I pay way more taxes than I feel like paying. I do all kinds of things that I would like to ignore. Yes, I'm not really sure what the debate is. To be totally blunt with you, other than the virtue debate, which is not interesting. Go to
there's a lot to soak in, but at the same time, it feels a lot of fluff. It feels fluffy. Like, I don't know. Well, let's see what Jink has to say here.
Yeah. All right, so let's break it down. And backstage, we had far too much agreement, so let's break that out. So first of all, on the caravan, I feel like Fox News, from time to time, touches on it, but overall misleads. And I'll tell you why, Tucker. It makes it sound like the caravan's going to come in and bust through a gate of some sort and then go ravaging in the country. Well, the reality is, the reason they're in a caravan is because they're seeking asylum. So if they wanted to seek into the country, they wouldn't do it in a giant caravan. So, and so when you're talking about the laws, there are also laws in place on how to seek asylum. And that is exactly what they're following. So that caravan actually, in a way, should be celebrated because they are not going to cross the border illegally. They're going to go to a court where you ask for asylum. Now Donald Trump...
All right, well, if that information is true, then, yeah, I don't see what's entirely wrong with this caravan at all. I legitimately don't then. Like, so that's if that's true. And if that is true, then I really don't see an issue. Like, because then if they're going to be able to process these people already. Like, then what I'm saying is already going to be happening. So then there shouldn't be a major issue then at this point. They are going to go through a process to go see for the process of seeking asylum. So if that is true, then there shouldn't be an issue with this whole crisis, essentially. But again, that's if it's true. I don't know if it is. This is coming from the words of Jank. How about Kyle and Joe Rogan too? That was fucking amazing, dude. I want to respond to that here a little bit as well, but I won't get to it just yet. Trump's gonna try to kill free press. I worry about him trying on his mustache and swastika. Oh my lord, he ain't going that far. Well, the censorship, yeah. Watch it through Mexico illegally. Well, again, I don't know. So I'm going to withhold any actual comment about it until I find out more about this. Again, that's why I'm going to do a pre-recorded video about this. Do a little segment. So, but again, I'm just going to find out some more information about it. And yeah, that's about it. Where would they store 10,000 people while going through proceeds? The Midwest, various parts of the country. We won't know for sure until they actually reach the border. Yeah, so who knows? I mean, that's why I'm withholding any opinion about it, really, because I don't know. I'm just gonna have to get more information. Anyway, moving on.
Suggesting that we should reject asylum out of hand without talking to people. Now, that is not the law, and that is not the American way. And so, and I don't want you to take this the wrong way. I'm not trying to compare you or Protestants or anybody to this. I'm just giving an extreme example of what happens when you don't listen to people. So we've done that in the past. In the 1930s and 40s, Jews came here on boats asking for asylum, and we sent them back. And one particular ship that came to Florida that was sent back, 25% of those people were murdered in a concentration camp. And God knows what happened to the other 75%. There's sometimes a good reason to hear them out. And what we're asking for is something very simple, and that is within the law, hear them out. It's not too much to ask for.
And that is kind of my premise for my argument. So me and Jank on this situation, our conclusion is the same, but, or at least our main argument's the same, but again, it's just that because I don't know much information about it, I can't really make an opinion strictly on this whole fucking caravan. Wow, it took me a while to get that out, but again, like, I still hold that same argument like I've always had. So, or at least that I've had recently. Like, I don't know if I've always have had this because I've only been recently making these arguments. But anyway.
I let the whole Nazi reference go unremarked upon. But I would say, look, if I have no criticism of Americans is they haven't traveled enough. And I know you have traveled a lot. One thing you learn when you travel is there are a lot of really hurting parts of the world. So nothing that is happening in Guatemala right now, or Honduras, or El Salvador, is unique to those countries, or even Central America, Latin America, or even this hemisphere. That kind of thing is happening all over the world. Where for a bunch of different reasons, mostly political, millions upon millions, billions, in fact, of people are suffering and desperate. And of course, my hope is out to all of them. The question is, what duty does the U.S. government have to them? And I would argue it doesn't have a duty to them, okay? It has a duty to its own people. Now, that's not, again, I think people of goodwill have a lot they can do to help those people, okay? I do think that. But the government is something very different. And I would also argue that there is a cost to this.
All right, well, hold on. I'll let us finish this point.
So I grew up in the state, in Southern California, and Cesar Chavez was a hero. I mean, we had a day in California dedicated to his memory. And Cesar Chavez, among many other things, he was a serious leftist, an economic leftist, a socialist. But among many other things, he was passionately, in fact, violently anti-immigration. Why? Because he was anti-Mexican? He wasn't Mexican, of course not. Because he led a labor union. And he understood that supply and demand is a real thing. And if you have an overabundance of anything, its value falls. That's why sand is cheap. So if you let people in from poor countries willing to work for less, your wages fall, particularly bottom men, among your most vulnerable. This was axiomatic on the left for 100 years. All of our anti-immigration laws.
All right, well, okay, before it continues on, because I didn't realize it was actually going to continue that far on. Oops. The first point about it's not the U.S.'s obligation to help other people. All right, well, technically, you're right, but would it, but isn't it, from a humanistic perspective, more beneficial to help out other people, even if they're not citizens of your country, from elsewhere part of the world, especially considering that, like, I mean, at this point in history, we've never been this interconnected, especially with the internet and social media, and especially with how modernized and technologically advanced we are. It just makes more sense for, like, on a humanistic and philosophical perspective, to just start transitioning our idea of immigration towards that perspective. Like, that doesn't mean we just forget what borders are and forget immigration and, just like free reign, bitch, woo! Like, that's not what I mean. But, you can still have regulation of borders and all that. But we should start at least transitioning to a world where an open border, can be more accessible, especially where you can like, for example, like, a day where you can just travel to like Germany, for example, from the US, like you're essentially going from Oregon to Tennessee or some shit, and not have to worry about any extra security bullshit, other weird nonsense. It's just like you get on your plane, you get out, you're there. That's it. Oh, you want to go back home, get on a plane, you go for boarding, get on a plane, get up, you're there. So, like, I mean, not that, like, going for the passports and all that shit's not, terrible. It's actually kind of a fun process for me. I find it kind of cool. Getting a little stamp and everything, getting that. It's like, hey, it's like the stamp. Got the official approval. It's like, that's cool. Like, I kind of like that a little bit. So, but, a day where people can essentially be a world citizen and, be a part of, their autonomous little states and shit, like we have right now, their sovereign states, but just have a more, cooperative world like that would just be so much fucking better. But, oh my God, that ain't happening. That ain't happening. Or this is it's a race cuck. I don't know what that means. There was one last year, 500 to 3,000 people. At the far right in Venezuela funded this. There's a far right in Venezuela. What? Why and what want from it? Then you put money out. So they're growing in size yearly. Yeah, and they are going to grow in size and yearly. And it's not because people are funding them. It's because of probably of cartel violence, the drug war, climate change. Again, we should fix the source. People shouldn't be forced out of their home countries due to armed cartels and non-existent jobs. I totally 125% agree with you. Like, I really do. Like, I think that's something that we need to tackle in order to help alleviate this problem. On top of that as well, I think we should also have, that I've said it so many times, I'm not going to repeat it, but, my type of immigration policy would be like, I think, that's what something we should also do as well on top of that. White guilt ignore. No, it's just being a human and helping fellow humans. Like, if there were other white people, then I would still say the same thing, bro. I'm about to hit a new bowl for the first time. Hell yeah, bro. Cheers to your new bowl. I'll smoke one off that. We can't fix the world. Oh, no, we can. We could definitely fix the world. It's just that we choose. It's just that we're just nah. It's just nah. It's just nah. We just choose not to. We need to fix ourselves first. And on top of that, well, in order to do that, we need to also help the world as much as ourselves, or at least fix the world as much as fixing ourselves, because we're a part of this world, and like we're literally a part of it. Like, we can't fix ourselves without trying to fix our world a little bit. Well, then, ethnically speaking, we shouldn't let them in. Use the money that we spend on war on peace. Wait, ethnically. Well, I don't know where the ethnic argument came from. And I don't think I was making an ethnic argument, really. I was just saying I don't base myself off ethnics or ethics. I just kind of, I mean, I hold on. Let me read this one more time. I just put like a little twirl in my head here. Well, then, ethically speaking, we will let them. Yeah, I just realized because I'm high. Okay. Well, then, ethically speaking, we should let them in. Use the money that we spend on war on peace. Okay. There we go. That's what I mean. I could put. Hey. I can put you on timeout, sir. I can indeed read, sir. What? Wow. My screen ain't working. I can't touch you, fucks. Fuck you. Wow. The mods are literally invincible on my screen here. You are all literally invincible. Like, you're impenetrable even to me. Oh, fuck. That's a problem. Oh, no. I can't do anything to the mods. Shit. Well, anyway. We should go back to the Tucker Carlson.
Was a result of lobbying from organizations.
Tucker the Cuck Carlson.
They have responsibility to their people, and Republicans management, the people who own the companies who hired the pickers, were totally for unrestrained immigration, legal and illegal, because it made their labor costs lower. So I would only say, and it's a more complicated question than just this, but this is a huge part of it. It's one of the reasons that wages have stalled, and for some categories of people, high school educated people, they've gone down over the last 30 years. Like, this is a real thing, and last thing I'll say is, if you bring this up, everyone wants to make a race question out that you don't want them because they're different. Oh, please. There's nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with what kind of country you want to live in. Do you want to live in a country where people with very little economic power have even less? Then open the doors, and that's what you get.
All right, so a lot to respond to there. So let's lay down one by one. First of all, this is a country, and this is not a cliche, it's true, it's a country made of immigrants. I'm an immigrant, and I came in a legal way. So, and I want to support that, and I think that that's not a matter of doing me a favor, it's not a matter of doing someone from Honduras a favor, it's a matter of what's best for the country. And I think immigrants have built this country, whether they were Italian, Irish, Chinese, Jewish, and Mexican, yes, they have built this country. And so I think that is a great value to the country. In fact, there was then a robbery about how immigrants keep taking from us. But the reality is, and every study shows this, since a lot of the undocumented immigrants pay Social Security and Medicare as part of the payroll taxes, but never get it out, they actually put more taxes into the system than they take out of the system. And so if we're talking about what is
that's the point I forget to bring up some points whenever I get in this discussion with people, is that they definitely I dare you. I can't. I literally can't, bitch. Like, you're lucky. And it's only for 300 seconds, so it's not like it's forever. And I don't think that removes mod chip either. But it's not like I can do anything to you anyway. This whole thing bothers me because there's so many things to fix here first. I mean, definitely. I mean, yeah, of course. But, you know, these type of people can help, you know, along with that type of process, because think of the potential construction jobs they can go into as well on top of Americans. Because if we have a public infrastructure New Deal type of plan, like a Green New Deal type of plan, there'll be thousands of Americans who also get jobs, but these migrants who come in can also have jobs as well. Like, I mean, they don't have to have the, quality, American jobs that, the Americans will be able to get, but they can do, some of the more grunt, more tedious, laborious type of work that most people don't want to do. And also there's farm work Americans don't do either because they'd rather do other shit. They'd rather, you don't really see a lot of Americans working on farms usually. You'll see them tend to a lot of as like the heads or the owners usually, or like the managers of farms, but you don't really see them actually tend like specifically tending to their lands as often. I don't really as often. I sometimes do, but not always. Sometimes, just not usually. Like you definitely see a lot of migrant farm workers in California, but I definitely see a lot more actual white workers and farmers in the Midwest. So, I mean, it's just demographic, where it is. But I mean, there's definitely a lot of jobs that can be available for them that Americans don't have as much of incentivization to go towards. If we're walking on crutches and trying to carry another on crutches, good chances we both fall on our ass. Yeah, I mean, I get the be isolationists to fix our problems first, but I think we should do that, but again, I mean, I just feel a little differently about it. I mean, I think on top of helping our own country, we can have people come here to help themselves to maybe even go back to help their country. Like once they've saved enough money, maybe they'll go back to benefit their countries in other ways. Which to me, I don't really see a problem because I actually anecdotal story, but I know a guy. His name was Jamal. He came from Ethiopia and he saved up, only a couple $1,000s, but in Ethiopia, that's worth so much money. That's worth so much money in Ethiopia. And he would go back to Ethiopia for about a week or two and exchange the money. And he literally built a house for his family and bought more land for his family to live off of, and literally gave them a sustainable and a higher standard of living for themselves, and was able to have them be sustained essentially. So he, and that was just through, like just one story from Ethiopia, but there are other people trying to do that same thing, and to me, that's like a really like I see that as a positive thing because I mean he's not only participating in the economy here, but he wants to you know, do the same thing at home and make it better there. So he's just doing it more, closer with his family. But, I still think that, argument applies because that's just going to trickle out more. And which that type of trickle economics would actually make sense instead of this Reaganomics trickle down bullshit that's always spewed down our throats. I think there's an age thing to it. In here, well, there's nowhere to really sit, so unfortunately, I won't be able to get him in here. But I could definitely take a little 15-20 minute break and have a conversation with him or something. But you're a person. Government first job is to its citizens. Well, yeah. I mean, I was mentioning that earlier when we first started this little segment. Like, I definitely think it should be the job of citizens, and that also goes for citizens who happen to be born from immigrant families too, and vice versa, etc. Like, I mean, I think once we're able to sustain ourselves and actually be a more prosperous nation and be more progressive and more actual legitimate social democracy instead of this oligarchical corporate broken bullshit, then we can definitely start working more towards helping others for sure. Like we need to definitely prioritize ourselves more than prioritizing outwards. Like we definitely need to be doing that, and we're not doing either of that. And we are prioritizing outwards, but it's for militaristic exploitation and expansionism and imperialism. So we're doing it in a very negative way instead of doing it for an actual positive benefit that would help everybody. So, I mean, that's my point for that whole foreign issue, like kind of generalized issue on that whole problem. But well, we'll move on and continue on to the another thing here. But I actually want to look at this little snippet of Charlie Kirk getting triggered like a little bitch boy. So Let's see that.
$174,000 salary a year. It's not like we're gonna buy a second home anytime soon. But that's besides the point, okay? You're trying to attack me, which is ridiculous. Like asking me what my salary is. Sure, I'll reveal it willingly.
You brought it up in context. I'm asking, why don't
hold
you live
on,
like a
hold on, hold
socialist?
on. Okay.
Go live
The
like a
point is
socialist.
larger. The point is larger than that, Charlie.
I live like a capitalist every single day,
Hey,
Shank.
guy.
I live as a
Hey,
capitalist.
hey, hey,
okay?
hey, hey.
I live what I live.
No.
What do? I get charity every single year.
Hold on.
What's my
Charlie,
salary?
Charlie,
Hold on, less than his.
Charlie, take
Come
a
on,
seat.
Shank, let's go.
Charlie, what are you doing? Take a seat. Take a seat. Psycho? All right, no. Take a seat. You're gonna take a seat.
Psycho, what are you doing?
Take a seat over here.
What's my
Oh
salary?
my god, Psycho.
All right. Ridiculous. All right, behave, everyone. Jesus Christ. Okay.
I practice what I preach. Shank.
Charlie.
You do not practice what you preach.
Charlie.
Oh my god, what the fuck?
Last point. You don't want to give him the attention here.
Who the fuck is this? What? Oh my god.
35,000 donors
Quiet down.
Last point. We are funded by the grassroots of this country. You can try to demagogue it all you want.
You wanna know what's funny? He takes Koch brother money. So that's why he's all triggered like a little snowflake bitch boy. It's because he takes Koch money. So oops. Throwbacks from my 60 days. Flower power and free love. It's a shame because all the world's military it's a shame because if all the world's military was stopped, the money would solve most social issues. Yeah, seriously. Like if we defunded like at least half of our budget in the military, we can fix so many problems in our home alone. Plus, we can even we probably would have a surplus of money on top of that to help other people in other nations around the world as well in an actual beneficial way. And it could be economically beneficial for us because we can incentivize investments towards renewable energies and infrastructure spendings outside. Like China's doing that right now. They're building a major highway. It's like the new Silk Road, they call it, into Europe, where there's supposed to be like a new highway system into China. It's supposed to increase trade. And also they've been investing in about like 530 some billion dollars into 135 some countries into green renewable energy resources and technology specifically. So China's kind of doing what we should be doing. So I mean, if we want to actually catch up and be a legitimate actual world power and on the world stage that's looking to be for other countries to actually look up to, then we should start actually working towards what these other countries are doing. Maybe the hippies were right. Of course they were. Of course they were. They just had a peculiar way of doing their message, and some of it was great, and some of it was not so great. We could fund a $1 trillion plus infrastructure investment in just 4 years of half military spending. Yeah, we could. And imagine imagine we legitimately could have the best infrastructure in the world. But because we'd rather bomb a bunch of fucking other countries and exploit and manipulate the people and their resources and profit off of that, or at least have the corporations that buy our government profit off of it, then nah, we just choose not to do that. But we could, but we just choose not to. That's just fucked up. It's just really fucked up. So, but yeah, that was just hilarious to see Charlie Kirk get triggered like a little bitch boy. But I actually did want to see what this debate was about. So let's get into what they're talking about.
Willingly give away their land. But I'm not here defending Cuba. I don't give a shit about Cuba, dog. I'm talking about America. I'm talking about comparable nations. I'm talking about comparable nations. We are talking about socialized medicine in comparable nations. Are you going to say that America and Cuba are virtually identical? I think that Canada is a better example, and there are definitely problems with the Canadian healthcare system. Again, due to privatization and due to underfunding and crippling the institution from within because of privatized policies. This is all private enterprise is grossly responsible for the lack of affordable healthcare in this country. It shouldn't even be affordable. It should be free. This is what the people want.
Nothing is free, son.
82% of Americans. 82% of Americans want Medicare for all.
That's not what he's talking about, you dimwit. He's what Hassan Piker means by free, he means by it's taxpayer funded. It doesn't come directly out of your pocket. That's what he means by free, Charlie Kirk. That's what he means by free. So nice straw man, but it don't work, bitch.
52% of Republicans want Medicare for all. The only people at this point,
that's also true.
Firmly against Medicare for all are just essentially saying, look, I don't care. I love corporate lobbyists. I think big pharma should continue to increase their profits, and it doesn't matter if you can't live a dignified life without the crippling fear that if you lose your job, you might lose your healthcare, and you might literally die. And if you can't fund your medicine, if you can't fund your healthcare, then you should beg on the internet through crowdsourcing.
Again, if you are virtue signaling constantly because you're implying that virtue behind a different policy perspective, that I care less about these people. The free market system,
that's what you want.
In every single sector and vertical, let me finish. Okay, food, whether it be anywhere the free market is allowed to interact.
He's not virtual signaling either.
You cannot buy health insurance across state lines. We have a national quota for doctors. We have the FDA that disallows entrepreneurs to compete against big pharma by having patents for 30 years so that people with great ideas.
I think FDA regulation is bad when it comes to medicine. There are certain elements of regulation that is bad, but I want you to be very specific. No, you can't just throw 8 points.
I'll let me finish. How about a 30-year patent on a drug that disallows someone with a better idea that would bring down the price of the drug, that the middle class could have the same sort of treatment that the rich and powerful have?
That's the regulation that you think I'm against?
No, I'm saying what I'm for.
No, I think we should.
Let me finish.
All right, go ahead. Sorry.
The free market allows itself for three really, really big things. It allows prices to go down, quality to go up, and abundance to go outward. Everywhere it's tried, whether it be grocery stores, whether it be housing. If the laws of the market do not stop working just because it's in healthcare, whether it be LASIK eye surgery, LASIK eye surgery used to cost $20,000 per eye. Insurance companies because of the free market. Insurance companies would not cover the LASIK eye surgery. It was a cash business. Doctors went outside the traditional system, and all of a sudden now it costs $500 per eye for LASIK eye surgery.
Everything you're saying is flat out false. And also
false about that?
Because we live under a mixed economy, Charlie. So it's a consequence of both publicly funded research and also certain private elements. So when you try to turn around and look at technological advances that are happening in virtually every field, okay, virtually every field on an international scale, and assume that this is just a consequence of free market capitalism, well, let's go. Yeah, no, it's actually unicorns, dude. Unicorns are magically. We're gonna lie about this stuff.
It also doesn't really count into the fact that there's other things like EpiPens that cost like 300 some bucks a pen, and then there's like certain prescription drugs that cost like up to $1,500 a pill to $500 a pill to like $50 a pill to $100 a pill to like $200 a pill. Like depending on that particular pill, it will cost you an arm and a leg essentially. Like, and just because laser eye surgery, like he's talking about how it went from like $1 trillion to 500 or something like that. One, that just sounds fucking retarded, and two, yeah, if it went cheaper, it's probably because the technology probably got more advanced and better, and also laser eye surgery, got better, and it's also not taking into the fact of other shit that got more expensive, and also that would just need to be fact checked anyway, and I ain't gonna fact check that right now. I'm just because we've been going off for 2 hours, so I want to speed this up a little.
All the way out.
Does insurance cover LASIK? Does insurance cover LASIK?
What does that do with anything?
Because when you don't have the insurance lobby within the negotiating of prices, then the consumer knows exactly what everything costs.
Are you
The reason why healthcare costs so much in this country, you go into a hospital, no one knows what anything costs. No one knows what anything costs, or how long you stay there, or how long the procedure is. A key component of a market is pricing.
Yeah.
The problem with the system
and we live in a country that is virtually the only country on the planet that does not negotiate drug prices. Even Donald Trump said he was going to do this, and he failed to deliver on that promise. Among many other promises, like he was going to solve the economy, or that he was going to bring about world peace. Like, this is preposterous to assume that, like, insurance, you can just unjustifiably just throw out a claim without expecting me to refute it. When you say, when you make this ridiculous assertion that insurance companies are actually decreasing prices when it's not the government regulating.
I asked a very specific question. LASIK eye surgery is not covered by insurance. Okay. Consumers went straight to the doctor, so they knew how much it cost. Therefore, prices went down, quality went up, and accessibility went out. That's what happens when a market is allowed to exist.
So why imagine virtually every other because I don't know the ins and outs of the complicated LASIK surgery, and I'm willing to bet that you don't either. You know a talking point about it, but it doesn't matter. Look, it doesn't matter because you are hyper-focusing on basic surgery. Are all Americans? Is this the most important problem all Americans have to face when it comes to our current?
I'm really glad you asked.
The cancer rate in the U.S. This is good. We're good on cancer if you can afford it.
So how do you get things to cost less? Competition, which is inherent in
regulation.
Regulation prices out middle class consumers. Regulation is a tool used by corporations to go after small business owners. That is
what? Oh my God! Wow, Charlie. Regulation is used by corporations to go after small business owners. What? Dude, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Oh my god, you're fucking stupid. You are like you have to you legitimately have to be kind of dumb to believe that. Like what? No. No, like literally no. I don't remember a time where corporations are literally put are regulating like small what? Like if they're part of an umbrella monopoly, yeah, sure. Profit driven. The system would have to be completely overhauled in order for single player to work. This would be instead of in person. Well, yeah, I think, well, yeah, of course. I that's part of I thought that was the main premise of universal healthcare is it's paid for via taxes. I mean, isn't that a duh? I mean, I always thought that was a duh. Is there other methods of universal healthcare where it doesn't specifically have to be paid for by taxes? Because I've like that it doesn't make sense any other way to save people on else, but there needs to be a bridge. Well, universal healthcare will definitely save money because even the libertarian Cato Institute, which is funded by the Koch brothers, said it will save at least $2 trillion. But it'll probably more likely save about $14 to $16 trillion. It's likely to save way more than that. But if a right-wing funded study group is saying, hey, it's going to save money, then it's probably going to save money. Pay so much less in the U.S. We need to not half-ass it. Well, the thing is, we put when it comes to GDP spending, the U.S. spends the most in healthcare via GDP than any other country, but yet we spend the most per person. So there's a major problem with that. We can have that same GDP, but be doing that under a universal healthcare system. So I don't think. I don't think there's really a problem about transitioning into it. It's just how do we transition into it? I think that's the main question. We need to do single payer the right way. Exactly. I think how we go about doing single payer is the big question. Like it's not a question whether we need it. It's a question of how we go about it. Because France has a different universal healthcare system compared to Britain. I think Britain has a single payer system that the government does negotiations and it's funded by taxpayers, while France has it funded by taxpayers while there's still like a private market that's funded by the government essentially. I think that's how it goes. So there's still like companies and corporations in France that are like that do pharmaceuticals and shit, but the government's still paying for it essentially. Like essentially in France, like the insurance company is the government, but basically, so I think that's what the French single payer system is. We need to have the same issue. There's going to be a huge problem from the tennis system. We need to rein in the corruption from companies and allow international competition. I agree with that, honestly. Like, I mean, when I mean by transition, I don't mean like we go into public option and then we go into single payer. I mean, we go into straight fucking single payer. But how we go into that is just the big question. Like, we need to figure out how we go about it. That's the main thing. We have the government to pay hospitals directly to cut down administration costs. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things. Like, I don't know every single little nit and detail about the whole universal or the healthcare debate, but I mean, you know way more than I do, evidently. But but whatever gets us to single payer healthcare, I mean, I'm kind of for any option. I will probably think there will be a better option compared to others, but I'm down for any solution to single payer healthcare because in the end, it's going to save us money somehow in the long term. It's just going to be beneficial. I mean, because to me, healthcare is a fucking human right. implement universal healthcare within a 5-year transaction window. Well, okay, hold on. So the main problem isn't Medicaid or Medicare. It's needing to be repealed. It needs to be expanded into universal healthcare, because the problem with Obamacare is that it's mandated private insurance. So you have to buy private insurance. It's basically saying, hey, private insurance companies, here's a mandate where people have to buy your insurance. So it's basically a handout to the insurance companies. That's pretty much what Obamacare is. While it's still in the right direction, it's not good at all. It's just like a That's literally what it is. It's like a like it doesn't. It's like a nudge. It's like a nudge. So it's not beneficial at all, and it is wasteful, like you said, which is why it needs to be expanded into just universal healthcare, totally reformed into a universal healthcare system. Like, it doesn't need to be repealed; it needs to be expanded into a universal healthcare system. So I get what you're saying, though, but I mean, you could do that same thing without repealing Obamacare. It just needs to be expanded into that system instead of what this corrupt, just hand out to private insurance companies piece of shit legislation that Obamacare is right now. Like we can do what you're talking about while not, repealing it, but we can do that transition. But I think we could do that even sooner. Maybe like within a 2-year or 4-year transaction window. But I mean, I get what you're saying, though. Cheaper just cover everyone, have people decide what they want to prove freedom or not. Yeah. People will no longer be afraid to go to doctors, seemingly minor things, and everyone will be saved on long terms. Exactly. And also, people like my mom won't have to fucking suffer and have to, get refilled on prescription medications while they hope that their insurance company might approve them on a surgery, and schedule them months and months away on end, and go through these absurdly long transitional periods to go into the surgery when they could probably take a lot sooner than that. I mean, it's just, so people like my mom don't have to get fucked, but then people who are, too scared about, because they're too poor and don't want to go into medical debt, can go in there too. I mean, it's just fucking absurd. It's a broken system. It's fucked. We can negotiate directly with pharma. Yeah, like it should be. Like, I mean, even though, like, the France UK system and all these other systems are a little different, I think essentially in the end that's what the government does, is they negotiate prices with the pharmaceutical industries. So, in the end, that's what the government's going to do for you, and that's looking out for you, because they're going to negotiate so it's within its budget, along with everything else in its federal budget and everything, and it will be able to cover, it literally will save money in the U.S. system. So it's just a non-argument at this point. It's just the argument is how we go about it. And I think there's multiple different types of options, like I said. And it's just, which system do we adopt, or do we make our own system with the influences of these other systems? Like, we can totally do a universal healthcare system that hasn't even been implemented yet. So there's just different ideas, and that discussion, totally up for it. I would love to have it. Well, not me specifically, but people who are definitely far more intellectual into that debate and discussion, should definitely be discussing that. But for me, everyone just needs fucking healthcare, and that's just what, that's my main concern. Oh shit, getting a phone call. Oh, shizzles. Gonna have to send a message right now. Do a callback shortly message.
What? It's all business on Pfizer. You're right, dude. Come on. Dude.
You know what? I'll move on to this final panel. Oh, we have Kyle. Whoa. Kyle, your hand's glitching, bro. His hand's glitching out. Look at this, dude. His hand's glitched. Look at this. Wow, dude. Your hand's all glitched. Here, let me turn it off so you can really see it. Wow. So glitched. That's terrible. Wow. Seltzer's changed you, man. Big Seltzer has totally changed you. Wait, where's my noir? Oh, there it is. Oh, there's the slate. What the fuck? I'm getting a knock on my window. This Ignarism is taking a different turn now. I'm gonna have to see what this is, I guess. Hold on! Oh my god, what's going on here? Oh, alright. What the fuck just happened, dude? What do you do? What?
Dude, I just like, he came right up to me, I was petting him, and I picked him up, and then he saw you and went
Well.
in my hand.
Yeah, I'm doing huh? Oh, damn, that's beautiful. Yeah, I'm doing a stream right now. If you, yeah, I guess so. I'll just have to work. All right, well, shit. I guess that's happening. Oh, yo, yo. Okay. Well, in the midst of this stream of
Much was made of the president. How
this debate. This is the final one,
he was alongside Vladimir
which
Putin.
is which is actually a debate with Kyle Kalinske, and this one is with Scotty Nell Hughes, which I actually don't know who she is, but it was not a bad debate. I actually kind of liked it. It was really interesting, but we'll just have to get right into this and check it out. It's fine. We're already planning on kicking it anyway. Anyway, so you're actually near the end. Oh, I'm doing a little. I was doing an Ignarism, and I was doing it on the whole political thing.
Condoms.
Dude, those are why.
I was like, what is on his bed? I was like, there's a lot.
Nothing.
I was like, you had a happy time.
Oh my god. Nah, fam.
Like, from just first glance, it looks like 20 used condoms in a
Oh
pile.
my god, why would I do that? That's just unsanitary.
Some people like the way it feels, bro.
Well.
Some people like it, bro. It's all lubey and shit.
Well, that's just disturbing. Yeah, I was kind of partially.
Some people hate condoms. They're like, can't use them, bro. I'd rather get somebody pregnant. You have a lot. There's more. You should show the stream. Look at this condom pile.
No, this is not a
condom.